What are you characterized by?
What are you characterized by? So this is an example of rushing around. And so, so we'll do this live.
There's nothing better than to prove that sometimes there's magic and sometimes there's disaster. I wouldn't really clarify this as disaster so much, but sometimes you just got to wing it.
All right, there we go. Got our cool lights.
Now I can get going.
Yeah, now we can roll. So true character isn't found in isolated incidents. And so the kind of the premise that I'm talking about with what are you characterized by is, I'll use an example, and I'm probably obliterating some notes later, but one example is, like, there's a family in our church that they're always early. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm talking way early, like half an hour for everything. They're just always early. If you probably could think of who I'm talking about. So they're always early, but they have been late before, I think, in the last, 20 years or something.
Maybe.
They've been late because maybe they got a flat tire or something like that. And so that's an isolated incident. This is a pretty extreme example,
right?
But they're characterized by being early, because that's what they consistently are. They're always early, and they're characterized by being early. And so that one isolated incident where they got a flat tire or something and they were late, versus on the flip side is you can have somebody that's late kind of often, and they get a flat tire, and you're just like, oh yeah, right.
There was a flat tire this time.
Yeah. Okay. Like, oh, your aunt died again.
Right. Your dog ate your keys. Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just kind of the basic premise of being characterized by something. Is it's not about good or bad. It's not about the isolated incident. Right. Whether somebody can criticize you for that incident, or whether somebody can praise you for something that you did. It's, what are you consistently doing?
Right. And I might be taking a little bit of extra liberty with this verse, but I was thinking of Matthew chapter 7 that talks about you'll be known by the fruits that you bear. And so it's not that fruit that you bear maybe one time, but the fruits that you bear, the things that you do, you'll be known for.
Yeah.
You'll know that somebody is a Christian. You'll know that somebody is living a life of integrity. I mean, whatever you're known for, you'll be known by that based on the things that you did throughout your life, how you conducted yourself, how you lived as a person, how you treated others. And so that is one thing that just jumped out to me. You'll be characterized or be known by the things that you do.
Yeah, well, and the way you said that also makes me think of kind of, how it is, a lot of times we think of this in a negative sense, but you know how when somebody's name is mentioned and you immediately think this particular thing, you might hear a name mentioned, like let's say preachers or something. You hear a preacher and you're like, oh yeah, he's a fireball, man. He preaches, or you hear like, oh yeah, he's so funny. Brother Joey. So he was on the podcast before, and if he listens to this, he'll probably get a kick out of this. I'm throwing him under the bus, but he said this in the pulpit, so it's okay. But he said that he was somewhere and he was coming to preach, I think, at a church or something, and one of a kid from that church asked, is that the preacher that preaches about food all the time? so yeah. He's characterized by preaching about food all the time.
And that's the thing, too, is that when you're characterized by things, you can't always... you can always control what you're characterized by, but it isn't always going to be things you necessarily like. So I'm sure he has a good spirit about it, but there's going to be things that people know you for, and sometimes you're like, I don't know that I want to be known as that.
Well, and this is a Sunday school podcast, so kids are great for that.
Oh, yeah.
Like your own kids will point it out to you without even meaning to, because they are copying you, and you're like, where did he learn how to do that? Well, your wife's like, from you, Yeah. And then the same thing in Sunday school, kids will see some of those things. So,
oh, yeah, for sure.